Now comes the part I don't really like. Under a video like this, you always see the same comment, just a little more and Russia will collapse. I don't think so. Russia is running out of gas. In one Russia region, people are not even allowed to fill gas cans. In a city in Siberia, 4,000 kilometers from here, more than 1 in 4 gas stations are not working. Even in Sochi, Russian main holiday city, some gas stations are already running out of fuel. And this is happening in one of the world's biggest oil production countries. So what's going on? My name is Vlad, I'm in Kyiv, and it looks like Ukraine has found one of the weakness points in Russia's war machine. Not the army, not the navy, the oil industry. But let me say this right away. I don't think this will win the war for Ukraine, and I'll explain why at the end. First, we need to separate two things that people often mix up. Oil in the ground is not fuel. To make gas, diesel or jet fuel, Russia has to produce that oil at the refinery. And this is the key point. An oil well can be built quite fast. A refinery cannot. A refinery has main biggest machine, towers, pipes and other parts. Some of the parts are not even made in Russia. So Ukraine is not mainly hitting the oil wells, it's hitting the refineries. Just look at the last few days. On August 11, Ukraine hit an oil refinery near Russia's border with Kazakhstan. It's more than 1,300 kilometers from Ukraine. That's further than Kyiv to Berlin. Reuters says the refinery stopped work and repairs could take up to 6 months. One day before then there was a strike on of Russia's biggest oil cities in Tatarstan. That's a deeper inside Russia. It's actually closer to Moscow than to Ukraine. And in July, a largest oil plant in the Ural region stopped working. At the end of July, the Financial Times looked at satellite images and S&P global data. They found that 18 large Russia refineries had still not returned to normal after the strike. Some plants near the Volga River and around Moscow are running at only half or 1/3 of their normal level. But the best sign of the problem is not the Financial Times. It's what Moscow itself is doing. On July 8, Russia fully banned diesel export. And it explained the ban of gas export until the end of the year. Think about what that means. Diesel is one of Russia's main export products. It's bringing money to the state. It helps pay for the war, and now Russia is keeping it at home. Not because Moscow suddenly cares about Russia drivers, but because there is not enough fuel inside Russia. At the same time, Russia is still pumping almost the same amount of oil. Tankers are still moving. India and China are still buying Russia oil, but that driver at a gas station in Siberia gets nothing from that crude oil. He needs gas in the pump. And Russia is having more and more trouble making it. Now comes the most interesting part. How does it work? Destroying all Russia oil refineries is impossible, and Ukraine is not trying to do that. Ukraine is looking for weak points. Let's go back to that oil plant in the Urals. 2 main until were hit there. Sounds boring, I know, but there's until are like the front door of a refinery. This is where the oil enters the system. If that door is closed, it does not matter how many others machines still work. There is no oil to process. One of these units could process more than 70,000 tons of oil every day. Think of it as a huge train full of oil. Every day, just gone. And last year, that one plant produced almost 3% of the oil processed in Russia. Just one side. And here is the important part. To stop a refinery, you don't have to destroy it. You just have to keep it down. And repair need parts. Parts often come from abroad. That means sanctions. Long delay and much higher price, so the repair list does not get shorter, it gets longer. And this brings us to the second problem, one that people don't talk about enough. Look at where these refineries are. Some are 1,000 to 1,050 kilometers from the front. This is not the front line. This is a deep inside Russia. Russia has around 30 large oil refineries, and there are also pipelines, oil storage sites, rain hubs, airfields, bases. But air defense is not a shield around the whole country. It's a limited number of systems, and each system can only be in one place. So Moscow has to make a choice: protect the refinery or the airfields, protect the Volga or the Urals, protect the rear of the front. Every choice leaves something else less protected. Let me be honest. I cannot show you a document saying that a specific air defense unit moved from Donetsk to Urals. Nobody published that kind of information, but you don't need that document to understand that much. An air defense system protecting an oil plant in Tatarstan cannot protect an ammo depot in the south of the same time. So an attack on refinery is not only about gas. It forces Russia to spread its air defense across a huge country. And now, my own view, Ukraine is doing all of this with its own drones. They are slow, they are cheap, and they can fly for hour before they reach the target. Now, imagine what could happen if Ukraine had a real long-range missile. People have talked about Tomahawk missiles for a long time. So far, it's still just talk. Now comes the part I don't really like. Under a video like this, you always see the same comment, just a little more and Russia will collapse. I don't think so. At least not that fast. The damage is real. There is no question about that. Refineries are down. Repair costs a lot of money. The state is losing export money. But look at one word in the report from August. It did not say fuel problem have started. It say fuel problem have returned. That means Russia already fixed this problem once. And now it's back. This time in 16 region. But look at what Russia is doing. It bans export to keep more fuel inside the country. It buys more fuel from Belarus. It gets parts to other countries. It pays more, it waits longer, and it moves fuel from one region to another. The places with fewer cameras and fewer people simply wait. A holiday city gets fuel because it's a big part of Russia's image. A small city in Siberia can wait, and this is my answer to the main question of this video. Russia is not very strong, but it's very hard to break. The system can get worse for years and still keep going. It can get poorer. It can become more dependent on other country. It can become slower, and it can still keep fighting. We have been hearing about the coming collapse of Russia economy since 2022. It's now year 5. So here is my honest view. Attack on Russia oil refinery will not end the war. They change the cost of the war, and that is not the same thing, but it still matters. So where are we going? Ukraine does not need Russia to collapse tomorrow. Ukraine needs Russia to get weaker every day, and that is happening. But there is one question I cannot get away from. The cost of the war for Russia is higher, but the Kremlin's demands have not changed. In May, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov repeated the same demand Putin made back in 2024. To stop the war, Ukraine must leave for region. What? I talk about Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson. And Ukraine must also give up its NATO plans. Think about that again. Russia wants land that it did not fully take on the battlefield. It wants to get at the table what it could not take after years of war. I live in Kyiv. 2 nights ago I was lying in bed again. I was counting the seconds between the sound in the sky and the blasts. this is not heroism, this is just daily life. You never really get used to it, you just stop talking about it. So when people ask if Ukrainians want this war to end, of course we do. Everyone does. The real question is different. We are being asked to end the war by giving away things Russia did not take from us. And as long as that demand stays there, no burning refinery will change it. A burning refinery makes the war more expensive. It costs Russia time, it costs money. It also forces Russia to move its air defense. But the refinery does not make the final decision. So maybe that should be my next video, not about what is burning in Russia, but about how this war can really end. Tell me in the comments if you want to see that. I'm here in Kyiv, and I'll keep telling you what's happening. Because a map can show you where the front line is, but it cannot show you what it's like to live on this side of it.